Welcome, everybody. We had just a regular witch cafe this art. I'm not sure we have. So this is I'm pretty excited to meet. We're going to have Meritaten give us a thrilling presentation about water. And to start, Janet is going to give us a prayer.
Prayer. So I just went through all of them looking for water. Did I say any? Is there anything in here about water? And this one has a little bit of water, but mostly it's just so fun. This is such a great witch upbeat prayer, which we could use, couldn't we? It's called All Night, and it came in the night on June 5th, 2018. On the breath of the beloved come love songs, all day, all night, caressing the world. Love songs, but we don't hear them. Like pop licks, they grab our bodies and we move. Like ode to joy, they lift our spirits and we soar. Like Irish pipes, they crack our hearts and we weep, but we don't hear them. Every leaf, every star, every curl of ocean, a love song. Every fern, every cloud, every spider web, a love song. The rain sputtering, the storm clouds forming, the volcano erupting, love songs. The sun arriving, the sun departing, the moon smiling all night, love songs. The cicadas in Oaxaca pray for rain, all night, a cacophony of legs, and the rain comes. I sigh for you, and you show your face, your face, your face in everything, your face in what frightens me, your face in what feeds me, your face in my face in the mirror, whether I look up or not. Love songs. Your breath in my breath, your heart in my heart, your love in all I love, whether I recognize you or not. We are one love. We sing one love song all night, all night, all night, though I may not hear it. Your love song is all life. My love song is this life. Singing in beauty, singing in pain, singing in joy, singing on my knees. One love, one song, our song, all night.
It's so good. I fell in love with our ART5 prayer, and so we're sticking to that and ISIS, but it's nice to hear the other prayers. So I was late to the whole amazing Veda Austin water discovery, and I just never, it was in the background and I heard about it and I understood what was happening, but I didn't really dive in. I think that um, this, what everybody's talking about now, and with the autists, it shows us that we're in the right place, all of us, playing around, doing our witchy stuff. We're on the edge, we're on the fringes, and we're exactly where we're supposed to be. So we are going to watch some really fun information that Meritaten is going to do. So I'm going to share screen and get our presentation going. Over to you, Meritaten.
Okay. Here we go. I cannot remember ever not loving water. If there was water near me, I needed, and I mean needed, to be in it. Whether it was a bath, a puddle, a pond, a stream, a river, a lake, a pool, or an ocean, I was always the first one in and the last one out. My parents even gave me the nickname Flipper. And that's my daughter in one of those pictures, the one under the water. Okay, Kathy. Now, as a 63-year-old, absolutely nothing has changed. And Kathy can attest to me being a river mermaid. I love to plunge in as soon as the snow and ice melt allows me to get to the river's edge and keep on plunging straight through to the cool days of autumn. If I'm near the ocean, even if it's cold enough that everyone else on the beach is wearing a jacket, I feel a strong pulling sensation toward the water, and I, at the very least, need to get my feet in. I'm pretty sure that there are many people who are just like me. So, what is it about water that feels so good? Well, for starters, we human beings are 99% water by molecular count. That means that of all the molecules that make up our body, 99% of them are water molecules. We are literally water beings. It was quite interesting for me to discover that my favorite water to jump into, which is river water that has flowed straight down the mountain and not yet meandered through farm fields and roadsides where it might pick up various pollutants. This water has an electromagnetic frequency that is typically around 2.4 gigahertz. And I also discovered that the water in our bodies, referred to as biowaters, has an electromagnetic frequency that is typically 2.4 gigahertz. So it's not surprising that I feel so good swimming around in a substance that I am literally in harmony and resonance with. After I submerged myself in this water, I feel better physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It feels great to even just sit on a rock next to the water's edge. And that is me. And that is Kathy and my favorite swimming hole that we call the mermaid hole. I always knew that this favorite swimming hole of ours was healing water, which makes it even more curious about the sacred, makes me even more curious about the sacred springs, holy wells, and therapeutic water sites all over the world that have been proven to affect healing. What makes some water so different from other water? Let's get back to water molecules. All water molecules are made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. They all have the same chemical makeup, H2O. Where water molecules differ is in their structure. In this very important category, there are 2 types of water. First, there is water where the molecules exist in a random, unorganized state, which is called unstructured or bulk or dead water. Unstructured water exists in various degrees, ranging from, let's say, potable tap water to very polluted water. Second, there's water where the molecules exist in a structured, ordered, or organized state, and where the water intelligently arranges its molecules in crystalline patterns. Structured water exists in varying degrees, depending on the complexity of its crystalline pattern. Unstructured and structured water exhibit different enough characteristics to nearly be considered 2 completely different substances, except that they still remain comprised of the same compound, H2O. If you are now thinking that healing waters are structured water, you are correct. Structured water is known as hexagonal, organized, living, sacred, holy, or healing water. It behaves much more unusually than unstructured water. It exhibits more unexpected properties the more ordered and structured it becomes, and it is critical to all of life's many processes. Our bodies are composed primarily of crystalline pattern structures, one type being solid crystals, such as bone and dentin, and the other type being liquid crystals, such as water, cellular membranes, collagen, fatty tissue, cell salts, cholesterols, enzymes, and proteins. These liquid crystals are composed of complex crystalline patterns of organized lines, angles, and points, which together make up what we call fractals. Fractals are the beautiful symmetry of self-repeating and self-similar patterns that we see in nature, in plants, snowflakes, and coral. It's these lines, angles, and points of fractals that allow for immense storage of information, as well as for responsiveness, memory, and consciousness in our biowaters. Okay, so healing waters are structured water, And our biowaters are also structured water. In our gatherings, we take sips of our water often because we know that it's been exposed to our thoughts, prayers, intentions, and energy or electromagnetic frequency. We believe that there's been a positive change in our water, and we want to take that into our bodies. We believe this. We have faith. Well, as you may know, science is slowly catching up to spirituality. For example, in 2009, an experiment was conducted by a French scientist named Luc Montagnier, where DNA appeared to replicate itself between two test tubes of water. In one test tube, Montagnier put water and a teeny piece of bacterial DNA, and in the other, he put only pure water. He placed them in close proximity and surrounded them with a weak electromagnetic field to imitate the Earth's energy, or the Schumann resonance, which he knew is necessary to support life. After 18 hours had passed, the DNA was not only detectable in the original test tube, which contained it, but also in the test tube containing only the pure water. The structure of the water in the pure water test tube had been changed or encoded with the information of the DNA. The structure of the water molecules had been changed, just like our drinking water is changed by exposure to our prayers and loving vibrations. We are actually changing the structure of the water molecules to become more highly organized into gorgeous crystalline patterns. It stands to reason then that when people are exposed to healing water with highly structured molecular patterns, their own biowaters will be affected, and those water molecules will become more highly structured. And the more complex the crystalline structured pattern of the biowater molecules, the greater positive impact the water will have on all systems in a person's body, on their entire well-being. So water can have an effect on us, and we can have an effect on water. There's a relationship, a connectedness to a living organism. And when there's reverence and harmony in this relationship, amazing things can happen. I have become increasingly interested in the work of New Zealand crystallographer and researcher Veda Austin, and I've recently purchased her beautiful book, The Living Language of Water. Veda believes that water is communicating with us rather than conforming to our consciousness, and that water itself is a conscious living organism responding to our thoughts, emotions, and other vibrations. On the back cover of her book, it reads, "Hundreds of years ago, water wasn't referred to as water. It was called the waters. It was considered living and sacred. The term her waters broke, as Janet mentioned in our gathering, is a distant memory of old knowledge trickling down through the ages. We know from ancient writings that water has been revered in ancient cultures all over the world and was the central focus of most sacred rituals and ceremonies." And you can see here in this Egyptian illustration, there's a pharaoh with an Egyptian priest and Anubis, the lord of death, pouring water over him, preparing him for his journey through the afterlife. And you can see on either side of the pharaoh, the symbol, the Ankh symbol, which is representing water. It's interesting to note that the Ankh typically symbolizes the many aspects of life, including physical life, eternal life, immortality, death, and reincarnation. So here, water equals life. And in the next illustration, the water and land ritual was a Buddhist rite developed in China for the universal salvation of all sentient beings from hell. Okay. Here's this large, beautiful water basin for ritual, used for ritual cleansing in ancient Assyria. I thought that was pretty spectacular. So Veda refers to water as source, not resource. In her book, she quotes Rudolf Steiner, the founder of anthroposophy, I think that's how you say it. The human being thinks that he creates intelligence, whereas he only draws intelligence from the universal sea of intelligence. Steiner says that intelligence is everywhere in nature. Everything, everywhere is wisdom, and that in fact, we draw our intelligent thoughts from her. Veda was also inspired by this quote by Albert Einstein: "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution." Veda views her experiments as co-creating with water. She feels that water is an active participant, that, as Steiner said, nature, and specifically water, is indeed intelligent. Veda acknowledges Masaru Emoto, among a handful of other researchers, scientists, and photographers, as opening the door towards seeing water through an emotional lens, seeing ourselves as bodies of water, sensitive to thoughts, words, and environment. You might be familiar with Masaru Emoto's book, Hidden Messages in Water. He used microscopic photography of frozen water crystals to illustrate positive and negative effects on water. And you can see a water molecule before being exposed to prayer and then after. Water exposed to thank you or gratitude, water exposed to the thoughts of you make me sick, I will kill you, and then to love and appreciation. Veda was also influenced by the work of French photographer Laurent Costa, who, like Emoto, took photographs of microscopic ice crystals. But what was distinctive about Costa's photos and what captivated Austin were the recognizable imagery that he captured. And you can see the heart in this photograph. She states that she loved his personal ethos, that to him, water was his spiritual teacher. He didn't want to experiment on it, but rather invite it to share freely through its formative designs. Veda was curious to see if water would respond to her, which led her to develop and refine her own way of co-creating with water. Through her simple freezing technique, she's been showing the world that water is visibly responsive not only to our thoughts and emotions, but to music, frequencies, words, healing, pictures, and even films. Even simple words have manifested into form. In her experiments, she takes a 10-inch glass petri dish, fills it with a small amount of water. She then exposes it to her thoughts, emotions, written word, object, music, heartbeat, etc., usually for about 30 seconds. Next, she freezes the water at a specific temperature for a specific amount of time, and then removes the dish from the freezer and photographs the image in the ice before it melts. She then examines the image or images the water has made. Her results are nothing short of astounding. For instance, in her very first experiment, she wondered if her hand would influence water's memory. She completely let go of attachment to outcome or expectation, which she has found crucial to the process, and this is what she saw in the frozen ice. She states in the book that, quite honestly, I was freaked out and couldn't believe my eyes. That's her very first experiment. As she went on to experiment with more and varied influences, she became truly aware that she was, in fact, interacting with a type of liquid intelligence. This became very evident when she asked the water if it knew her name. So she didn't write anything on a piece of paper. She asked the water if it knew her name. And the image on the ice revealed her initials VA in the precise way that she links the V and the A together. Here are just a few more examples of over 40,000 plus photographs that Veda has taken of her co-creations with water. So you can see pretty clearly a unicorn in the horn, and then a kind of ghostly figure, a beautiful angel with wings, phoenix, gorgeous fairy wings, and then unicorn horns. These are just some of my favorites. I love this little rock crab that Kathy's pointing to. There's two octopuses in the next one, and a fish. And then on the bottom, the worms. And look at that little caterpillar crawling up a leaf. And then butterfly wings. So here you can see that she wrote the number 4 on a piece of paper and the 4 in the ice. This is one of my favorites, the braid. I just think that's incredible. Then a profile, a photograph of one of her friends, and then a photograph of ginkgo leaves. Veda has even discovered what she calls hydroglyphs, which she describes as 3D emotional language. Using words written on paper and placed under her petri dish of water for 30 seconds, she uses her freezing technique and then photographs and records a symbol. If the same symbol appears 50 times or more, she considers that she has discovered a hydroglyph. And so this is the hydroglyph that she discovered for the word complete. And you can see that they are all closed, complete circles. Next, this is the hydroglyph that she discovered for the words change and winter. She discovered that the words change and winter have the same hydroglyph. When Veda discovered a hydroglyph for the word living, which was a hexagonal shaped design with a fern-like pattern or snowflake-like pattern, she became curious to know if she would also find a hydroglyph for death. When she did her experiment with the word death, she received the hydroglyph for living. She repeated the same death experiment over 50 times, and each time she was given the hydroglyph for living. This design or hydroglyph is also found in frozen spring water, and it's more defined the closer the water is collected from the source, which I thought was really fascinating. Living water, right? Some of you may have watched Veda and Pam Gregory's talk on YouTube called Doors to Consciousness with Autists, in which Veda showed her hydroglyph for information. And there's that one. And I'm sorry for the quality. I actually took a photograph of my computer screen to get this one. And some of you may have listened to the Telepathy Tapes podcast, which is about the nonverbal autistic community communicating telepathically. These autistic individuals who are nonverbal refer to themselves as autists. They not only communicate telepathically, but they also meet and chat and teach each other in a conscious realm that they call the Hill. They could be living anywhere in the world and still they have the ability to meet on the Hill. Pretty amazing. When they speak through typing or a communicator, they have incredible wisdom and often sound prophetic. Veda feels that they have access to the Akashic records. Veda was giving an in-person talk in New Zealand one day and on her work with water, and she mentioned during her talk that she had listened to the Telepathy Tapes podcast and that she was very interested in working with these autists. Well, of course, there was someone in the audience that day who had been a communicator for some of the autists and offered to put her in touch with them. Veda sent them these 12 images of her information hydroglyph, which she feels looks like coding or ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs or cuneiform writing. And I definitely agree with that. Here's what a young woman named Sammy said about this hydroglyph. The general message of the images is about foundational structure to build or co-create the new. The images are like music, actually, sheet music to inform everything that is matter on the planet, that a cosmic cycle has closed and a new epoch is beginning. The way the lines are is like foundational structure at the pre-manifestation levels. That's what Sammy had to say. And Daniel, they are doorways into another realm of consciousness. Each code is a doorway. Each little line is a doorway. It represents God consciousness experiencing itself as multiple doorways, as God consciousness expresses itself through multiple humans. Veda is uncovering something that has not been seen before. She is unveiling a consciousness that is ready to be seen, but a direct translation is difficult because it is not writing as we know it. It is all multidimensional form. One must take into consideration angles, colors, and the way the writing is connected. I want to focus on the word doorway because it is the best word I can give to what these hydroglyphs are offering. It is a doorway of a stream of consciousness. It goes deep into the cells of the body because our bodies are made up of water. Ugh. And a young man named Kylie, who could speak a little bit, when he saw the hydroglyph for information, he spoke the word doorways. He also said that just by viewing these images, healing is being absorbed through our bodies. Veda notes that water is actually just one part matter and the rest is photonic light, and that there are more water molecules in our bodies than stars in the Milky Way. She then asked the autists the question, what is water? And here are their answers. Nikolai says, to ask the question, what is water? One must ask, what is the creator before form? Sammy again says, water is a redeemer. It washes away, much like source cleansing you. The mysteries of water will dazzle you, dazzle humanity. It indeed reflects source creator, sentient consciousness. It's the hall of records and the hall of mirrors. It knows all your secrets. And Adriana says, it's embedded in everything. We see water's essence in the watermarks. Is the energy not still there? Do we not see that water has been there? We can still feel it. Can you not hear the water in a shell even after the water is gone? The water still echoes. So therefore, I would say that yes, indeed, it is a sentient being. And Noah says, water is the expression of the Creator's first love. It is a being that Creator never wants to separate from. Therefore, it's in everything. It's love. After hearing these answers and spending time contemplating them, Veda feels like what they are all saying is that water is a container for the Creator. Almost all of the autists told Veda that there are 7 states of water. So not 4 states that we know of, which is liquid, gas, solid, and then a state between liquid and solid, but 7. And one of the autists named Elsa told her that thought is one state of water. I feel like this is just the proverbial tip of the iceberg when it comes to understanding what water actually is. And I am so excited for what may be discovered in the future or what we may remember ourselves. About a year ago, I was told that there was water under the pyramids. And that, like, told, I mean, like came to me, and I thought, no, I don't think that's right. I've never heard of that before. I wonder if that's true. And so I Googled water under the pyramids. And sure enough, I find a few articles and even some photos referring to water under the pyramids. And this is a photo taken by an American researcher who was, she got permission from the Egyptian government to go down 3 deep levels under one of the Great Pyramids. And the Egyptian government does not give permission to people, to scientists, to archaeologists to go down there anymore. So somehow she got permission. And so what you're seeing is some debris in the water from old, archaeological digs down there. But you can also, Kathy's pointing to, if you can just make out that there is a sarcophagus there under the water. And there is one theory that it is Osiris's tomb. So leave you with that one. And then a few weeks ago, we hear that scientists have used LIDAR technology to discover this huge system of columns and containers under the Great Pyramids that is water related, and most likely a generator for high vibrational frequencies. But this is a whole nother topic. I'd love to hear what your thoughts and experience are and have been with water. What do you think of the autist's answers to the questions, what is water? Let's talk about water. Thank you. Thanks, Kathy.
I don't know if anybody's listened to the telepathy tapes. I really resisted doing that, but if you haven't listened, what I want to say is that these are not people who have words that come out of their mouths. And some of them haven't been able to communicate until adulthood because their parents didn't crack that code. So the poetry that they speak with was somehow in there. I don't know. Some of them can make noises, but it's not. The words don't reflect what you hear when you hear them, and I find that so astonishing how those two separate pathways can be so different. Anyway, I just wanted to say that if you haven't heard them.
Oh, we were talking in our pod yesterday about this a little bit, and I don't know if Veda says this, but I was I've always thought that people on this, who are autistic on the spectrum, or even like who have learning differences, are like vibrating at a different frequency, that it's hard for them to operate in this form, in this matter, right? And that what they're speaking telepathically or typing, they have access to source information. And that's what they're giving to Veda when they're telling her what water is, right?
Mhm.
I like cry when I read their words. I just love it so much.
Yeah. And I'm going to turn off the recording so that we can share.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to end the meeting.